Talking about premier road racing venues in North America, the conversation cannot take place without including WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. This historic racing venue has played host to some of the most exciting and dramatic racing action in the sport's history. It's fast, it's narrow, and it includes the corkscrew, one of the most famous corners in all of motorsport. Hi folks, Lee Diffie with you, and this weekend the venue on the Monterey Peninsula plays host to the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. And today we focus on the Lamborghini Super Trofeo North America Series as they embark on their 5th event weekend of the season. Coming into this weekend's events, the number 29 Change Racing Lamborghini, with drivers Corey Lewis and Richie Antonucci, hold the championship lead by a mere 9 points over the duo of Andrea Amici and Sandy Mitchell. And as luck would have it, they'll line up alongside one another for both races this weekend. While in the Pro-Am class, Damon Oakey and Jacob Edison have absolutely dominated the category, taking 7 wins from the 8 events thus far. Today, they'll look to wrap up their championship charge before heading into the finale at Road Atlanta. And with that, let's send it to John Hindhaugh, Jeremy Shaw and Shea Adam for the call of the race.
19 cars, engines fired, moving off. We're just outside of Monterey on the peninsula. We're inland a little bit, and that's why we've got a bit of overcast. 2.23 miles, 11 corners with some big names. The Andretti hairpin, the Rahal straight, and turn 8 and 8A, one of the biggest and most feared turns in the whole of motorsport. The corkscrew, and from there it's all downhill with an opportunity to pass at the sharp left-hander at turn number 11. It'll be Jeremy Shaw and Shea Adam to take you through this one. Here's the highlights from yesterday.
It was a great start from our championship leaders in the Change Racing Lamborghini. Richie Antonucci taking them from the green flag and leading through most of his first stint. There was a bit of interesting mirror watching going on as the youngster Stephen Agacani got passed by Sandy Mitchell, but he held him off for a very long time. Agacani with a very strong race performance as it was yesterday, but it all came down to the pit stops, and that's where the lead changed. Connor Daly, who took over from Brandon Godovic, the number 46 PPM machine, inheriting the lead off the pit stops, got out ahead of Corey Lewis in the 29. He had that white Lamborghini to watch in his mirrors for the entire race, and that's exactly the way it stayed. For Dream Racing, it was all a dream until a sketchy moment for Cedric Spirizuoli as he went off at turn 6. He lost the 3rd spot, but he did manage to hold on from there, and James Sofronis coming through in the AM class, taking it to Stephen Agacani, and eventually hanging on to take the race win. It was the 46 machine who wound up victorious, winning the first race of the season and the first race of the weekend.
Let's run down the starting order for today's 10th round of the Lamborghini Super Trofeo. Row 4, Bruno Junqueira, the Formula IndyCar driver, in car number 53, alongside Stephen Agacani in car number 6. And in the 6th position on the grid, car number 14 for GMG Racing, the best of the AM qualifiers, is James Sofronis. Cedric Spirizuoli will start in the 5th position in car number 27. On row 2 of the grid on the outside, Andrea Amici in car number 1, and championship leader Corey Lewis in car number 29. And on the front row of the grid, the best of the Pro-Am qualifiers for US Racetronics, the championship leader in car number 09 is Jacob Edson. And on the pole position, brilliant performance for Precision Performance Motorsports in car number 46. Also the race winner yesterday, we're on the pole position, is Connor Daly.
We are in for a treat today because, Jeremy Shaw, yesterday we saw some entertainment right at the checkered flag. I'm thinking particularly of in our LB Cup. Ashton Harrison starts on pole today and in the 10th position overall, but at the line she could see the win. She just couldn't get to it because that belonged to Justin Price and Chad Reed in the yellow number 22 machine. They start 13th, so today there's going to be a bit of a fight back for that number 22 Lambo with Mountain Motorsports written on the side. Oops. Uh-oh, and we've had a crash on our pace lap.
Is that Mel Johnson or is that Jonathan Hirschberg?
I think it's Jonathan Hirschberg in the number 88 machine. I wondered why there was a tow truck going down the start-finish line. Time has started, so the race has gone green, but we are behind the safety car for this incident.
More from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in just a moment. The action continues here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. You're watching the Lamborghini Super Trofeo North America Series.
As the leader, Connor Daly, gets on the loud pedal and sends him to the green flag. A perfect start from Jacob Edson as well, as he falls into line behind the leader. And in third place, it's the championship lead, the number 29 Change Racing Lamborghini, Corey Lewis, looking to go around the outside of Edson through turn 2. He's got the line. Can he get the power down? No, he can't. He's almost there. He's going to have a look up the inside at turn 3. Jacob Edson hanging on around the outside and makes it stick. But wow, Andrea Amici all over the tail of Lewis as they're now looking side by side into 4.
Yeah, that was good respectful driving for both of those two there. It's still, this is the first lap of the race. The tyres not yet up to full operating working temperature, so the cars will be sliding around. They're always sliding around here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, and even more so in these cool conditions.
We've got a battle for the AM class lead, as well as James Safronis, with right behind him once again. It is the youngster and Stephen Agakani, who saw a lot of James Safronis yesterday, but it was the other way around. We'll be looking for a bit of redemption after yesterday's race. Down through the corkscrew for the first time, Connor Daly with a good lead over everybody else, just trying to pull out a bit, and Jacob Edson holding on to that second place, our Pro-Am leader.
Very good first lap here for Connor Daly. He's pulled out a little bit of a breathing space over the Pro-Am car of Jacob Edson. Corey Lewis was a little bit frustrated. He'd have wanted to try and make that pass on the first lap if he could, to keep the pressure on Connor Daly. There's an opportunistic move there by Cedric Spirituali, who dives down the inside of Andrea Amici.
And makes it stick. That was a very impressive move through turn 11 as Connor Daly leads official racing lap number 1, but lap number 3 of the timing screen. And there's a move now for Corey Lewis looking down the inside of Jacob Edson. There was a bit of contact between the two, but they're both able to continue as right front of Lewis met left rear of Edson. Just brings Spirituali a little bit closer into the picture, and you never want to give Cedric an opportunity, because he will turn into Cedric the Entertainer. Man who is very, very familiar with Lamborghinis and how to win in them. Just give him a sniff of an opportunity. And he also is looking to try and make up for yesterday, where he had a brief mistake at turn 6, cost him a spot on the podium.
Yeah, that was a bit too close there. Corey Lewis thought he saw a gap perhaps on the braking for the Mario Andretti hairpin, but he really wasn't quite close enough. So I think he was a little bit fortunate there that Jacob Edson was able to maintain control of his car, and no spin, no harm, no foul.
Connor Daly took his fast pills this morning, Jeremy. He's not even in the same camera shot as the battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and then even 6th. You could throw it into the mix as the rest of the train continues to wind around like a snake, like they're attached by a bungee cord.
Oops, Amici running wide on the exit of turn 10 there. He keeps the car on track. He only lost much, didn't lose any ground at all. He's right on the tail of Spirituali coming into the final corner. But yeah, the good early pace here from Connor Daly. He's set another fastest lap to extend his lead now to over 2.5 seconds over Jacob Edson. But you know, on this racetrack, that's all very well and good to pull out a good advantage. But tyre wear is always critical here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. It's much cooler today. That will help the tyre wear issue, but by the same token, Connor Daly, he won't want to take too much out of that car now, because when he hands it over to Brandon Godovic for the second stint of this race, the final half an hour of the race potentially, he wants to make sure that Brandon has good tyres underneath him. That was one of the keys to their win yesterday.
And Brandon Godovic watching on the pit box, I'm sure, Jeremy, he's thinking exactly the same thing. Connor, buddy, save me something. I want to be able to have fun out there when I get in the car. So we'll just have to wait and see how that all shakes out for the number 46 PPM black and red Lamborghini, as the yellow of Jacob Edson is on a tear, trying desperately to break away from Corey Lewis. But Corey is not the type of driver to let pressure get to him, and he's certainly not the type of driver to back off in any situation. So we've got the battle between Jacob Edson and Corey Lewis for the 2nd place, and then right behind them, Cedric Spirituali and Andrea Amici are fighting for that 4th spot. It is tense in that portion of the field.
That's a really good lap last time around for Connor Daly. 1:25.2. That was quicker than the pole time.
Wow.
Qualifying time yesterday. These cooler conditions certainly playing to the favor of the balance of these Pirelli tires and the Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo cars.
His last time across the line, though, Jeremy, was just a 1:26.1, so that's 9/10 slower. I wonder if that's the team getting on the radio to him and saying, Connor, you've built your gap, maintain it at this point. You don't need to keep taking time out of the tires. Jacob Edson, though, his personal best time the last one around with a 26 flat. No one has had that peak performance of Connor Daly, though. Right now, he is in a league of his own.
Yeah, no, I mean, Connor's got a good amount of experience in all sorts of different cars, so he knows exactly what he needs to do there. He knows not to push too hard and take too much out of these tires in the early stages of the race, so he'll be looking in his mirrors and managing the pace, and you can see he's got a handy lead, so he'll just throttle it back a little bit and maintain that gap. It's still just around about 2.5 seconds.
Our AM leader is still James Safronis, who's got 1.7 seconds over Stephen Agakani, who's in that number 6 machine. Safronis not in the championship hunt. Agakani is, as long as McKay Snow and Cameron Castles both have bad days. Well, right now, McKay is on a recovery drive. He's 3rd in the AM standings right now in terms of on track, but leading the championship. He still has a good amount of points in hand, but with James Safronis coming in and taking points away from Agakani, that's not the worst thing in the world. Also in that class is Sheena Monk, and she is shown as stopped out on course at turn 6, according to Race Control. We'll get you more information on that as soon as we have it. Still a 2-second gap just over on the rest of the field. That is perfect execution from Connor Daly. Part of your Team USA scholarship many years ago, Jeremy.
Yeah, 10 years ago. So was Jacob Edson, in actual fact. A few years after that, about 2014 or 15, I think, was Jacob. So yeah, 2 very talented young American drivers, and Connor Daly, he's going to be, he's got a busy week. Not only is he driving here in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo, had the win yesterday, the pole today, and out front right now, but next week he's going to be driving an IndyCar around this same racetrack, and that's going to be a very different animal for him to tame.
And what sort of confidence booster is it to go into that race with not 1 win, but 2, and that's exactly what he's trying to do today.
Yeah, that is the goal, and just running a nice consistent pace at the front of the field. He's settling down now into laps at around 1 minute 26 seconds. That's about the same. All of the front 5 cars are doing pretty similar lap times right now, so Connor Daly just managing his pace at the front of the field, and Jacob Edson, he's settled into a good rhythm there as well in 2nd place. That's the best of the Pro-Am cars, so the 3 cars behind him are all pro drivers. Jacob himself, though, he is the pro in this Pro-Am combination, so there's no reason why he shouldn't be up there. And in fact, the fact that he's done such a good job this season explains why he is now part of the Lamborghini Young Driver program.
Andrea Amici, with a really good momentum going into the corkscrew, has to hit the brakes a little bit harder than everyone else ahead of him to get it slowed down. Does manage to do that, but he is hounding the back of Cedric Spearswally, and Andrea Amici goes off at turn number 9, manages to recover it, though. I was going to give him a compliment about how much track he's using, all of the curves to exactly the point you wanted to. Well, yeah, it was a little bit more than Andrea had initially hoped for. Connor Daly continues to lead, and across the line, Jacob Edson and then Corey Lewis, 0.4 of a second behind.
Change for 7th position now as the kind of a 53 Bruno Junqueira finds a way past Stephen Agakani, and right behind those 2 are Ashton Harrison, the LB Cup leader, and McKay Snow in the AM Championship. You talked about McKay Snow in car number 63, leading the points in the AM category, as he has done throughout the championship, but with a few mediocre results. He's only now 17 points ahead of both Cameron Castles and Stephen Agakani.
And he's off.
Yeah,
he's off at the exit of turn number 3 as, come on, McKay, get it refired and get it going again. That's the younger brother of last year's pro champion, Madison Snow. McKay has been having a difficult weekend here, as you mentioned, a couple of troubling results, including yesterday's race. So McKay trying to put his head down and get things back on track.
Yeah, he's having some problems with the ABS brake system on Friday, but here, so for some reason, the car ahead of him just suddenly slowed up coming off turn 3. That was
Ashton Harrison.
Yeah. He certainly seemed to lose momentum coming through that corner.
Couldn't get the power back down, and McKay Snow had nowhere to go. Wound up throwing it off the track to the right-hand side, putting it in the tires. He has a little bit of front damage from running into the back of Harrison's car, but hopefully everything is okay on the rear of that number 63 Lamborghini. Did a really good heads-up job to try and minimize the amount of damage there.
Yeah, I'm not sure where Ashton is, actually. She hasn't seemed to come around.
Yep, she stopped out on the racetrack, Jeremy. As a pass is finally made, Corey Lewis gets around Jacob Edson, coming out of that first official turn on the track, turn number 2, the Andretti hairpin. And let's see, that was just Wow, the amount of speed that Corey Lewis carried down the front straight and had more grip than Edson going out of the turn. He managed to get the car planted, get it pointed in the right direction, right foot down, and then goes away with it as the battle for that position between the 1 and the 27 continues. There's contact between Amici and Cedric Spirituali. Spirituali got into Amici at turn 4. They're now going through turn 6, and the position goes in the favor of the number 1 machine. But we've got a message through from race control affecting 2 of our cars as Ashton Harrison crawling back around at the top of the corkscrew. I think there is actually something wrong with her car, Jeremy. But the cars 09, which is Jacob Edson, and the car 1, which is Andrea Amici. So right now, in picture, running 3rd and 4th on the track. Incorrect start procedure, which means a 5-second post-race penalty will be applied to both of those cars. So wherever they cross the line doesn't necessarily mean they're going to hold that position. That was a bold move from Amici at turn 4, going down the inside of Spirituali, and Cedric didn't want to give him any room whatsoever. Turned back into Amici as they were exiting the corner, but the position is in the favor of the number 1. Now, if I'm the crew from the 27, if I'm Dream Racing Motorsport, I get onto my radio right now and say, hey, Cedric, there's a penalty coming to the car ahead of you and the car ahead of him at the end of the race. You can cool it back a little bit. You've got a 5-second buffer. McKay Snow continuing to try and recover, now finds himself between the 22 Lamborghini of Justin Price, and immediately in front of him, the LB Cup leader of Mel Johnson. So this is a battle on track in front of McKay Snow for the LB Cup lead. Justin Price with the advantage of yesterday's race when they make contact and they both go around at turn 2. Mel Johnson is still there. Justin Price was able to recover mostly by using the pit exit, and now Mel Johnson does the same. But both of those cars significantly slowed down. That move was a long way back, but Mel Johnson did leave the door open. Justin Price tried to go through it.
Look, they both sort of kind of spun in unison. I don't think there was any contact before they both spun. That was really rather odd.
Correct, Jeremy. That was a strange incident. And now the 22 is slow. Might have an issue with the right rear on his car. Yep, it is. The wheel is pointing in a separate direction. So now he's got rear steering effectively on his Lamborghini as the field goes past. That is not going to be 2 wins on the weekend for the number 22. Beautiful drifting going around. Unfortunately, that's not what the driver is trying to do.
So Connor Daly is now doing this lap time was a 126.3. Last lap time was a 126.4. The previous lap was a 127, so he certainly backed it off a little bit. And with pit stops looming, the pit stop window is going to be open in just a few seconds' time. So next time around, they're going to be eligible to pit if they want to. And it was the pit stops yesterday that was the undoing of the car number 29. It came into the, there's a spin for Randy Solari at the corkscrew. Yesterday, the number 29 car came into the pits in the lead. The pit stop was fine, other than the fact that Richie Antonucci parked his car right behind another car that was already in the pit lane, which was his teammate, as Randy Solari gets that car underway again. But what he didn't know was that the teammate car, Matt Dickin, wasn't going to be leaving the pit, so they actually had to pull the number 29 car back again. So we see that spin, another replay, just getting on the power a little bit too soon there, Randy Solari, but he's able to get back underway again. He's cost him several positions. He's been running well up until then, but here's that 22 car's made it to the pits, but I don't think it's going to be going any further.
Chad, you don't need to jump in the car, it's okay.
So we are seeing pit stops now, and but that pit stop yesterday, we had to pull the 29 car back again in the pit lane. That cost him a few vital seconds. That is why the primary reason they came out behind the number 46 car, and he was never able to redress that balance. So the 46 car went on to win.
We've got the leaders in the pit lane. The 46 of Connor Daly will be handing over to Brandon Godovic, and the 29 of Corey Lewis will be handing over to Richie Antonucci. Their pit boxes are very close to one another, so it's going to be sights set, and they should be leaving line astern because they came in line astern, having to be on the pit lane, both cars, for a total of 84 seconds. It's going to be whose ever stopwatch works a little bit better than the other. While we've got a moment, I'd just like to let everybody know our thoughts are with our friend and colleague, Brian Till, who is normally in the booth calling the Lamborghini action. Get well soon, Brian, and take all the time you need. Your headset is waiting for you when you come back to us. Jacob Edson stayed out on track as we expected in that 09 bright yellow Lamborghini representing Lamborghini of Vancouver, because Damon Oakey, the man from Vancouver, will be taking over once they come in to do their pit stop. Andrea Amici also stayed out in the Prestige Performance Lamborghini, the number 1. He'll be handing over to Sandy Mitchell when he does choose to come into the pit lane. And again, no surprise that Bruno Junqueira stayed out. All right, the engines are revving. Corey Lewis sends his car back out. It is a drag race to the line, and the 29 gets out of the pits ahead of the 46. So Prestige Performance yesterday, winning, PPM yesterday, winning the pit stop competition. Today, Jeremy, it went the way of change.
Yeah, the boot's on the other foot here. Let's see if we can see why there was any problem there.
Ooh, that actually was an instance of not knowing the rule book for Brandon Godovic. He was already in the fast lane. He doesn't need to cede to a car trying to blend in.
Otherwise he could see the car was going to drive into the side of it, so he had no choice there. I would say that the stewards are going to be looking at the potential unsafe release for the car number 29, because I think that was probably pretty smart of Brandon there. He could see that car was coming out, because he, from his perspective, he was already in the fast lane, and he could see that car heading straight for the side of his car, so he really didn't have any option but to back off.
Oh my goodness, and the race continued on the pit exit. It's a very tricky exit. It looked like Richie just ran a little bit too wide.
Yes, could have been that. I wonder whether, alternatively, he might have been looking to kind of realise that he made a mistake and let the 46 car through, but I don't think that's the case.
These race car drivers, Jeremy, they don't often say, after you, I'm so sorry, my friend, I've made a mistake, please go ahead. That's not something that comes down unless it's from race control 9 times out of 10. Jacob Edson is still out. Andrea Amici, Bruno Junqueira, Stephen Agacani not sharing the car with anyone in the number 6 machine, but he does still have to come into the US Racetronics pit box, as does Cameron Castles for Prestige Performance in the number 33. Again, a solo driver, but the first of our pit stoppers is that number 6 as Brandon Godovic goes well off the racing line. That was a sketchy moment as the 29, Richie Antonucci, braking in exactly the point that he should have been, but perhaps a little bit too much effort. 46 goes well wide to try and avoid Antonucci. 2 of them could have been in massive contact there, but that was some pretty heads-up driving by Godovic. Wow, I don't know where his braking marker was, but it was about 15 feet before he should have gotten on the brakes. Oof. That'll get your heart rate going. All right, who came in that time by? Did Cameron Castles come into the pit lane? Yes, he did, and now he is on an outlap. So for the AM category, we're still waiting for Stephen Agacani, and now he's into the pit lane too. We still have 5 minutes left in our pit window, so plenty of time for everybody to get in and do their driver changes, or perhaps just have a little bit of a drinks bottle, if that's what they so desire. Solo drivers. Corey Lewis out of the car, but it's still showing his name against that number 29. It is Richie Antonucci, as Corey Lewis is walking around right in front of our window. That helps remind the brain. But it is that 09 machine leading the way. Jacob Edson doing everything he needs to before he hands over to Damon Oakey. He comes through turn 10, peels to the right, so he is staying out on track for one more lap, but into the pit lane, the number 3 of Randy Soleri, and also, more importantly, the number 1, because that means that Andrea Amici's time in this race is done, and he'll hand over to the Scotsman, Sandy Mitchell. All pit lane speed limiters, Jeremy, are supposed to be set to the same, but that doesn't mean that they are. There tends to be a little bit of braking and checking going on. 09 continues around for one more lap, still has 4 minutes in the window, and with lap times being about a minute and a half, means he's got 2, realistically, opportunities to come into the pit lane.
All right, Andrea Amici is on the pit lane now in the second place car. That's car number 1. He'd actually been closing in a little bit on Jake Edson the last couple of laps, but he's now going to hand over the number 1 car to the young Scotsman, Sandy Mitchell.
Driver change is nearly complete for that number 1 machine. We'll have to see where they cycle back out. Been a part of this lead battle for the entire race thus far, well within the top 5, and frequently attached or tethered or very, very near to that number 27 Dream Racing Lamborghini. Paolo Ruberti has taken that over from Cedric Spirituali, by the way. Jacob Edson dives down. He's come down about 8 stories at this point. Still has a couple more to go from the drop as he comes through turn 10. Does he stay to driver's left? No, he fakes us out. And one more lap for Jacob Edson before he'll be visiting the pit lane and then giving Canadian Damon Oki an opportunity. So is this Damon Oki's 50th race start then, Jeremy?
Yes, indeed it is.
Congratulations, Damon.
That's right. He's one of the stalwarts of this championship.
There's been a pass on track. The number 46, Brandon Godovic, has gotten around the number 29 of Richie Antonucci. Have to see where that happened. Picked it up as they came through turn 2, and whether or not that was a perhaps team orchestrated thing, let him by. We did the wrong thing. We need to make up for it before race control notices. So if we just casually do this now, maybe they won't. We won't get in trouble. You never know what sort of race control messages are going back and forth between the team.
Yeah, Damon Oki is from Calgary, Canada. He made his debut in this championship back in 2013. He's had 7 Pro-Am wins in the past. He's a former Am champion. He's had 10 Am wins. And he's had a good season also in the Pro-Ams, in this Pro-Am category this year too. It's been a really good year for him, and looking to get another Pro-Am win here this morning.
Edson stayed out. He is currently in Sector 2. I'd imagine he'll be diving into the pit lane this time around. As does he stay to driver's left? Yes, he does. Finally, Jacob Edson comes into the pit lane, which means that the battle we were watching out on the track between that 46 ppm Lamborghini and the 29 Change Racing Lamborghini is for the lead of the race. They were 75 seconds back, and with the minimum pit delta time for that 09 of 84 seconds, they're going to come out quite a bit behind that battle. They're actually going to filter back out into the 6th position by my reckoning. Car 29, short pit stop penalty, drive-through. That is going to devastate Change Racing. Also, penalty. Car number 63, that is McKay Snow. Penalty, short pit stop, drive-through. So that great effort that we saw from Change Racing, that aggressive blending back in front of the 46, it was all for nothing as Richie Antonucci will have to make another trip back down the pit lane, and that's going to cost them 1st, 2nd, 3rd, possibly even 4th, depending on when Damon Oki comes back out onto the racetrack.
Welcome back. You're watching the Lamborghini Super Trofeo North America Series here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca.
Safronis is focusing forward very much because he doesn't want to look behind him and see the blue and black Lamborghini of Stephen Agicani looming large in the mirror. Agicani, who was denied a win yesterday by James Safronis. Now, Agicani needs to be smart here, Jeremy, because he's still trying for that AM championship, had a huge deficit after missing the first 2 rounds of the season because he wasn't old enough to hold an IMSA license. Now he is, and he's proving that he deserves one as he's hounding one of the veterans in the business, James Safronis. And it's been interesting to watch the car language of the 2 of these guys as they go into turn number 5, a tricky turn with a lot of camber in it, holds the car to the ground. At the exit, turn 6, little bit more of a gap for these 2. Going up into the corkscrew, though, you have to imagine Agicani is going to be plotting his opportunity. 11 minutes and 50 seconds to go in this, the final race of the weekend here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca for our Lamborghini Super Trofeo runners.
Yeah, it's an intriguing battle between these 2. James Safronis, he's been around the sport a long time, and Stephen Agicani has not. He's 16 years of age, but he's been doing an awful lot of testing and indeed driving in various different series over the last 12 months or so, even though he's only just 16 and was too young to get an IMSA license until after the first 2 races of this championship. But he really does need maximum points now. He came into this round, despite missing those first 2 races of the season, he was only 17 points behind McKay Snow. James Safronis, he's not going for the championship. Stephen Agicani, it seemed like a long shot not so long ago. Well, it's not a long shot now for that championship. He's certainly going to make up some ground in the points on McKay Snow, who's down in the 4th position in the class here. So Agicani really does need to try and get past Safronis and claim maximum points for the day.
What's the points difference between 1st and 2nd?
15 to 12, so just three.
Yeah, he needs that. Every point counts, and especially considering that McKay Snow has not had a great weekend here at WeatherTech Raceway. It's been a difficult track for him to try and wrap his head around, as our leader, Brandon Godovic, going around, does have a time penalty, but not as great as the time penalty coming for the car behind him. Sandy Mitchell on the #1 Prestige Performance Lamborghini. With the Max the Axe stickers on it this weekend. Max, we're thinking about you. We want you to get well soon, too. Brandon Godovic, though, the leader, focusing forward. He needs to have a minimal advantage over second place, 0.234 of a second or greater, to try and hold on to the race win, while Sandy Mitchell would need 5.234 of a second to try and hang on to the win, with a 5-second penalty coming his way. And Paolo Ruberti sitting back there in third going, hey, guys, if you want to just slow down a little tiny bit and open the window for me to come through with the win, that'd be great. Thanks, appreciate it. That's not how racing works, though. Only one win on the season so far for Dream Racing Motorsport. It's 2 for Prestige Performance, both of their wins coming at Road America. And for the 46, well, Brandon Godovic has now had 3 wins this season. Connor Daly has only had 2 because he missed the last round of the championship at Virginia International Raceway, of which the second race, Prestige Performance Motorsport, took the victory, because Connor Daly was driving an Indy car. He tends to do that, Jeremy. I've noticed that about Connor. He tends to drive an Indy car every now and then.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's how he earns his living, and that's his, still his primary focus, of course, is the Indy cars. So he's going to get that, drive that any chance he can, and that's part of his contract with PPM. They understand that Connor's focus is to win in Indy cars, and particularly the Indianapolis 500. He's had some good performances in the Indy cars this season, but this is a good one today too, and he's handed over that car to Brandon, and Brandon is just doing what he can now, but as we can see, that gap has come down. Sandy Mitchell is right onto the tail now, with still 8.5 minutes remaining in this race. So it's a question now, I think, of who's looked after their Pirelli tyres the best. Well, it's certainly a high degradation tank. It does wear out the tyres here. Not really degradation, but they certainly lose grip as the race goes along. So this is going to be critical now in the closing stages. Also keeping my eye on Richie Antonucci, who is continuing to narrow the gap to the car number 27 of Paolo Ruberti. The gap was 4.8 seconds after Antonucci found a way past Damon Oakey. It's now half of that, 2.4 seconds, as they cross the line to complete lap 26.
A penalty just coming through for penalty's sake. The 43 car, which is stopped out on the racetrack in turn 2. Penalty for a driver change outside of the pit window, which will be a drive-through. Well, they won't be able to fill that drive-through because they're currently not driving. So that means that that time of a drive-through, whatever that allotted time would be, which race control determines at the start of each weekend, that will be added to their time post-race, but they're already sitting in 18th, so they will finish in the 18th position. Now, if I'm PPM, I get on the radio to Brandon Godovic and say, hey, Sandy Mitchell has a 5-second penalty coming. He's 0.6 of a second behind you, so you don't really have to worry. But if he's going to hound you too much, let him go. Just don't let him go that much further ahead of you.
Yeah, no, they won't want to let him go. They want to hang on there in the lead. But certainly, if push comes to shove, if Sandy Mitchell makes some sort of a really bold move somewhere, then you might let him go. But other than that, you're going to try and hold on to that position. The battle in AMLO is continuing, isn't it? It's a great battle between the veteran and the youngster.
You know what? I have to wonder if Stephen Agacani just opened the tow hook on his car and just put the bungee cord onto James Sofronis's car, because the two of them have been together all race long. They've just been battling back and forth. And how much fun for Stephen Agacani to learn from someone like James Sofronis. James Sofronis now up to 5th position overall, but still Stephen Agacani, the 6th in 6th. How long will it stay there?
Yeah, and the other battle to watch is the battle for 3rd place overall, because Richie Antonucci now is almost with Paolo Ruberti. There's just over a second between them, and that's come down by not that much on the last lap. Came down more on a previous lap. This last lap, Antonucci was only 0.3 of a second quicker than Ruberti, but time ticking away, just 5 minutes remaining now.
What a drive back for Richie Antonucci. That is admirable, as the 08 car, Thomas Lovelady, leading his class in LB Cup, sticks a hand out the window to let the leaders know, hey, go by me here. I see you. I'm aware. And Brandon Godovic has his hands full of Sandy Mitchell. Half a second separates the first two, but remember, it's half a second on the track. It's really 4.7 seconds thereabouts when the penalty is applied post-race. Both cars with post-race penalties coming, but a minimal one for the 46, a 5-second maximum one really for the number 1 machine. Prestige Performance coming their way. So Paolo Roberti 8.6 seconds back. That would be a 3-second gap on the timing sheets at the end of this one. And Richie Antonucci trying to make it even smaller than that, as 4 minutes and 15 seconds to go of this race. That should be 3 laps, Jeremy? 3 more laps, you reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we'll look down the inside for Sandy Mitchell, but no, the door is closed by Brandon Godovic as they go through turn number 2. Goodness, that's getting a little bit feisty.
Just out of the view behind these two on those right couple camera shots is that battle for 3rd place. Now Richie Antonucci is right with Paolo Roberti, so that is going to be the battle for 3rd and potentially some extra points for the number 29 car. That's what they need to going into the final couple of races of this championship.
Well, if he can get close enough, I mean, watch the drive that we've had from Richie Antonucci. That's potentially 2nd, Jeremy. He only needs to be 5 seconds behind Sandy Mitchell. He's 8 seconds back right now with 3.5 minutes to go.
That's a very good point.
That's not out of the cards. This could wind up being the story of the day. The drive back. Richie Antonucci with the drive-through penalty after spending too little time in the pit lane might wind up 2nd on the podium. And full credit to him, all from what he's been able to do with his right and left foot.
And a good job there by Brandon Godovic to pass a couple of slower cars and get himself a little bit of a breathing space over Sandy Mitchell, as we're now less than 3 minutes remaining.
Oh boy, James Safronis has a Lamborghini behind him closer than he has all day. Stephen Agacani could almost reach out and touch the bumper of James Safronis as they were breaking into the corkscrew. This is not done. Agacani knows that if he wants a chance at this championship, 3 more points would really, really help with that. And James Safronis stands between him and 15 points maximum this weekend. He's pushing as hard as he can. The question is, how much grip does he have left? How much life are left in those Pirellis? Well, the answer is going to be enough to get him to the checkered flag, but in which position, 1st or 2nd? 2 minutes and 15 seconds left to go. This is red zone time, Steven. It is Sunday, NFL day. You got to make your big play now. The games are won and lost in the 2-minute warning. Although the clock doesn't stop when we hit 2 minutes now, as it would in the NFL. Sandy Mitchell is now 0.8 of a second behind Brandon Godovic, but the battle for 3rd place, they are now 8.5 seconds back off the lead. Check that, 7.5 seconds as time continues to be peeled away. Richie Antonucci is trying to find a way past that Dream Racing Lamborghini, the number 27 in front of him, much in the same as Sandy Mitchell is looking to try and get around Brandon Godovic. But with the 5-second penalty for the improper start procedure for the number 1, their chance of a win is definitely out of the question. Now it comes down to what step of the podium can they hold on to, if they can indeed. Going into turn number 2, manages to get it slowed down. We are now on the final lap. The white flag is waving. So 4-hour battles out there for Sandy Mitchell and for Stephen Agacani, now or never. You've got to make your move, and you've got to make it at the right spot, because you're only going to have one opportunity. Your best chances are going to be at turn 4, the top of the corkscrew, and then a last chance lunge at turn 11. And Agacani goes for it through turn 2, but it was too little too late.
Yeah, the veteran there, Safronis, he's seen that move made before. He's made it himself many, many times over the years, so he's making sure to cover that line. The white flag is out, so yes, just this about a mile to go for these two at the front of the field, but there's all sorts of other battles there that are intriguing. The battle for 3rd and 4th, they lost a bit of ground to the 2 leaders on that last lap, with Roberti holding off for Antonucci, so I think that might take away any opportunity to overcome that 5-second penalty that number 1 car is going to have.
Brandon Godovic with 2 more corners. That's all he needs to do. Check that, 1 more corner. Just make it through turn 11. This is the turn that invites people to make the bold dive down the inside, but no, he covers that off nicely. And Sandy Mitchell unable to get the grip he needs to get the power down to take it across the start-finish line. It will go the way of PPM, a perfect weekend sweep for Brandon Godovic and for Connor Daly in that number 46 Lamborghini. But who is going to win AM? There's still an opportunity for Stephen Agakani, but James Safronis has seen every move, as you said, Jeremy, and he knows how to cover it off. James does just that as they go through turn 11, and it will be a perfect weekend as well for James Safronis and GMG Racing in the 14 Lamborghini. Stephen Agakani watches as the 3 points that he needed go the way of James.
Yeah, on that lap, Antonucci did get 3rd position, but he was a full 10 seconds behind, so it must have been a fairly bold move somewhere around there. It cost him quite a fair bit of time overall, but Antonucci did get scrape ahead of Paolo Roberti on that final lap for 3rd position, but a really well-judged drive by Brandon Godovic come away with a win, and yet another win for the pairing of Jacob Edson and Damon Oakey in Pro-Am.
And an LB Cup, the 08 with Mel Johnson leading the championship coming into this weekend, will leave leading the championship. And oh, there's a last lap change of position in Pro-Am between the number 69, which is Danny Close, and the number 53, which was started by Bruno Junqueira and finished by Dean Baker. It goes the way of the gold and black car. See, that's the type of last lap dive we're talking about down the inside at turn 11. That was for the 3rd position. So that's a trophy going the way of that gold and black machine. Keep it on the road there, Danny.
More from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in just a moment. Welcome back to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, where round 10 of the Lamborghini Super Trofeo North America Series has been run. Time now to hear from the race winners.
Yeah, I liked it yesterday better because I didn't have to work as hard there. But no, that was a great battle there. It was kind of strange because I had to play a little bit of strategy there because I know on pit road, me and the 29, he was supposed to give me the way. I mean, we had the lead the whole way there, and so he was supposed to let me by, and so he let me by, but then I let him back by so that I could just run my own pace because I knew he was going to have a drive-through penalty, so I was just trying to conserve as much as I could because there was already not a whole lot left. And then I just kept telling him to give me the gap with me in the 1, and I just made sure to pace myself. I knew he was going to catch me and just let him work as hard as he could to catch up to me, and then I'd have something a little bit left to the end to hold him off, and worked out there. I knew he was going to have a 5-second penalty too, so I was able to buffer it even if he got by me on the last lap or so, but still fun to just come across the line first anyways.
Well, I mean, yesterday we found out how tough it is at the end on the older tires. So Brandon just did exactly what he needed to do. I mean, no mistakes. We made everyone else make all the mistakes. I mean, it was some pretty silly stuff happening, but you know, he did exactly what he needed to do. These races are super important to be mistake-free, and that happened. The car has been awesome all weekend, and to have 2 wins, you know, it's a great way to I guess finish the North American season. And yeah, it's been fun to be here. Fun to be here this weekend. This track's been awesome. Team did a great job with the car, and yeah, and Brandon did his job, which is important.
Thomas Lovelady and Mel Johnson getting a win in the 08 LB Cup. What a day it was for that class. Randy Solari brings his number 3 machine home in 2nd, and Matthew Dickin went from not finishing yesterday to finishing with a trophy today. In the AM category, it is James Safronis in the number 14 ahead of Stephen Agakani, and Cameron Castles in the 33 gets the 3rd place trophy. Damon Oakey and Jacob Edson win again in the 09, and by your math, Jeremy, win the championship in Pro-Am?
In Pro-Am, yes.
So a good day for them. Patrick Liddy bringing the 24 home. It was Ronat Patu who started that car. And then the last lap dive by Danny Close brings he and William Hubble to the podium. And overall, remember, we've got some penalties coming in. So for the 46, they will hold on to the win. Brandon Godovic and Connor Daly in that one. 2nd, though, will be Sandy Mitchell and Andrea Amici in the number 1. Their 5-second penalty, not enough to bring Richie Antonucci and Corey Lewis to the 2nd step, but they do still walk away getting to spray some champagne after that beautiful drive from Richie Antonucci, inspired after serving the drive-through penalty.
and unofficially in the pro drivers category, Change Racing, Corey Lewis and Richard Antonucci on 124 points, 118 points for Brandon Godovic for PPM, and 112 points for Andrea Amici and Sandy Mitchell for Prestige Performance. So that is the unofficial drivers' standings there.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of the International Motorsports Association. We would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.